Hello, world, and welcome to our Genesis Bible study. Today, we're doing lesson 1. In the beginning, God, or was there a Big Bang? We're going to have a look at firstly laying the foundation of not only this Bible study, but of the Bible and why it's important, what we believe in Genesis. And we'll also be looking at the Big Bang, if it is science or not. So, let's get into it. We'll start with Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is the start of the Bible. Now, this is important for us because, remember, we always start by laying the foundations. What we believe is has to be founded in something. So, what do we believe? Where do we start? Why is it important to have a good foundation? Well, Jesus tells the parable. It says, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house. But it did not fall, because it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them, will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. You see, the one house was built on the rock, was built with a good foundation, could withstand whatever came across. The other one not. And that's the same thing with what we believe and what we stand for. As Christians, if we believe the Bible and we stand on the Bible, we have a good foundation as to what we believe, why we believe it, and why we do what we do. But if you are going to break down the Bible and destroy it, you lose the foundations for what you believe. We have here a picture of a house falling down because of its foundations. The foundations are not good. The house is starting to fall over, and this is the problem. It happens in life. It happens with us. Psalms 11:3 says, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? And that is the thing. What can we do if we don't have the right foundation? You see, our foundation as a Christian is the Bible. This is what we believe. This is what we stand on. Now, the Bible we look at as the history book of the universe. Everything is in the Bible that has happened in the past. But our problem is when we start teaching the Bible, especially to people at a young age, we teach them Sunday school stories, Bible stories, things that are just moral examples for people to follow. You can get good lessons out of it, but it's not true history. You go to school for real history, real subjects, real science, real knowledge. And that creates a problem that it's easy to no longer believe the Bible and then start believing man's theories that he gets elsewhere. We start believing Discovery Channel and National Geographic above the Bible. Now, why is Genesis important? It is important because Genesis is the foundation of the Bible. It is where it all starts. There is the law of first mention, which we use in Christianity, which is where the first place where something is mentioned, you see God's idea already about it. And that's what you can see in the Bible. So, all Christian doctrines that we believe in is founded in Genesis. Why do we believe murder is wrong? Because we see in the story of Cain and Abel that Cain murdered Abel and God judged him for it. Why do we believe marriage is between man and a woman? Because in the Bible it says God made them male and female. Why do we need to be saved? Why did Jesus come? Because the Bible, in Genesis, it tells us about man being made in God's image, but man disobeying God, sinning, doing what was wrong, and therefore man needs a savior. It's all in Genesis. If you do not believe in Genesis, you cannot say why you believe things. If Genesis is not true, then there was no original sin. Then why did we need Jesus? I mean, it makes no sense anymore. Also, we know Jesus quoted Genesis. The apostles quoted Genesis. We believe these things and we believe the New Testament because the people who spoke and wrote in the New Testament believed in Genesis. They quoted it as history. Now, when we try to analyze Genesis, one of the things we've got to do is try and work out, is Genesis history? Was it meant as a parable, an analogy? What is it? Now, the Bible has different literary genres in it. There is prophecy. We know the Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, the minor prophets, Revelations, all prophecy. Some of it has already come out. Some of it still needs to happen. We have the law, such as in Leviticus, passages in Deuteronomy and Exodus as well. We have parables. That's when Jesus says, the kingdom of God is like, or the kingdom of heaven is as. Then we know that it's a story to show, it's an analogy. It's going to show you what a picture of what it would be like. We have the Proverbs. We have poetry and music, like in Psalms and Song of Solomon. And we have history. The history of Israel written in Joshua, Judges, Samuels, the Kings, Chronicles. And the Gospels tells the history of Jesus' life. So we have different types of writing. Where does Genesis fall? Where does Genesis 1 fall? Well, a lot of people want to put it in the poetry category. The reason why they say is because in Hebrew poetry, we get what is called parallelism. An example of that is in Psalms 18, where it says, for who is God but the Lord? Who is a rock except our God? We have got the same thing written twice, actually, and that is a form of poetry. So, is Genesis 1 a form of parallelism? Some people claim it is. They say that in day 1, God created the heavens. Day 2, he created the firmament. Day 3, he created the land. Day 4, he filled the heavens. Day 5, he filled the firmament. Day 6, he filled the land. But there's a problem. This doesn't really work, because we also know that on day 1, God created the waters. But on day 5, he filled the waters with fish. We also know that the heavenly bodies did not fill the heavens, they filled the firmament, if you read the Bible clearly. And we know that the plants were created on day 3. They're filling the land, they should be created on day 6. Parallelism doesn't work. So the question is, should Genesis be taken literally? According to Professor James Barr, he's a professor of Hebrew, yes. He actually explains that Hebrew and Old Testament scholars will acknowledge that it is meant to be taken literally, that creation took place in a series of 6 days which were the same as the 24 days we now experience. Whether people want to believe it or not is another thing, but Genesis 1 was written to be taken literally. You see, the problem is it's got to do with our worldview. Are we looking at the world through man's theories or through the Bible history? And that is very often with a lot of the things, is the evidence is all the same, despite what you believe. But what you conclude on the evidence, that is influenced by your belief. But we are all looking at the same planet. We were not there when it was created or formed or whatever happened, so we cannot say what happened. We just look at things and we interpret it in light of our worldview. Now, before the Big Bang Theory, there was a belief in creation. Eventually, people started to believe what was called the static universe model. That is, the idea that the universe is past eternal, or it never began. It was always there. It always existed. Then came a discovery. Thanks to the Hubble telescope, we saw that the universe is drifting apart. That means the universe if the universe is drifting apart, and we think it always has, if you play that backwards, it means that in the past it was closer together. And the further back you go, the closer it gets together. It means somewhere this started drifting apart. And whatever happened, however it happened, it means there was a beginning for the universe. So what is the Big Bang? Well, the Big Bang hypothesis is that the universal origin story known as the Big Bang postulates that 13.7 billion years ago, and certain people vary on the dates, but it is a magnitude of billions of years ago, our universe emerged from singularity, a point of infinite density and gravity. And that before this event, space and time did not exist. In other words, that's where it all started. It started with that singularity. It started somewhere in the past. This came into existence from somewhere. In other words, there was a beginning. The question is, what was the beginning? By the way, when it all started, we had hydrogen, helium, and lithium. I'll explain why this is important in a moment. But this is the Big Bang Theory. Another thing is, what is a singularity? A high density of energy particles in an infinitesimally small area which changed into matter by fusion. Doesn't explain where this all came from. It doesn't have a start. It just wasn't there, then it was. It came out of nothing. There are so many of these theories that do not explain where it started. And scientists are trying to come up with theories like, in the multiverse, something banged and a Big Bang happened to create ours. But then where did the multiverse come from? Some want to explain that an experiment in another universe went wrong to create ours. But again, where did theirs come from? Where did it all start? And that is the problem with the Big Bang Theory. is it is actually very bad science. You see, it is not testable and is full of ad hoc explanations, but it is not something you can test to see, to look at. It is pure speculation and guesswork. That is not science. You can maybe call it historical analysis, but it is not science in the sense of testing and looking at it. Also, science, you can make predictions. You can get a model based on your assumptions or your speculation, and your models must make predictions, and you must be able to see them in nature. Problem with the Big Bang is it makes predictions that you cannot see. If we think of the one where is antimatter, for this fusion to have taken place to create energy into matter, it would create matter and antimatter. Now, apart from the fact that these two would annihilate each other immediately, if there was some way of separating them, fine. But where is all the antimatter? Where is it? We can't find it. There should be an equal amount of antimatter to matter in the universe, and it's not, and you can't find it. Also, missing monopoles. According to the Big Bang theories, when you run the models, we know bipolar objects, like magnets, have a north and south pole. We know that planets have north and south pole. They have two poles, and these poles will attract or push away from each other depending on which way they're facing. But according to Big Bang predictions, there should also be what are called monopoles. They do not have a north and a south pole. They have only one pole. But none of these things can be found. They're also theoretically supposed to be the most stable objects out there, so they shouldn't disappear. But there are none of them. And also, there is the question about the missing population 3 stars. Now, remember I mentioned we started with hydrogen, helium, and lithium, and a few of the isotopes. Those would have been the first 3 elements out of the Big Bang. And then that means in order to create everything, you have to start with stars made out of those elements. And in those stars, fusion happening to create the rest of the elements. Now, a population 3 star would be the most stable star out there, which means we should still find some out there, but we don't. They're missing as well. And those are the problems with the Big Bang theory, is it is really bad science. It is not testable, it makes bad predictions. So, the question is, where did it come from? The best I can offer you as a solution is, in the beginning, God. Now, if you want to talk to people about these type of things, a great way to start is what we call the Kalam cosmological argument. Basically, it says that whatever begins to exist has a cause for its beginning. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause for its beginning. And it's a great way to start a discussion because we've just seen the universe began to exist. And so we know that for something to begin to exist, it needs a cause. The thing is, what is the cause? Now, the cause for the universe, because the universe is time, space, and matter, we know that you need something that is outside of space, time, and matter. And that is what we call God. People like to say, but where did God come from? Remember, your assumption here is that God began to exist. But God is timeless. Therefore, he has no beginning. To begin something, you must have time. And God is timeless. Anyway, I hope this helped you. I hope you enjoy the series. We will be bringing out the next part soon. But for now, keep well and God bless.